Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and I've had a few interesting revelations since watching the latest episodes of My Little Pony Pony Life series. Now, I've mentioned before that I just don't have as much interest in seeing each of the main six in such a modern setting, using modern devices and trying to solve modern conflicts. We have seen this to an extent in the Equestria Girls series before, and yes, I've certainly enjoyed some of those stories in the past, but I've never had as much interest in seeing the main six in a high school setting as I have for the fantasy world in which each of these characters were created. And then it hit me. Each of the main six characters weren't created with the modern world and the modern setting design in mind. When Lauren Faust was first pitching the idea of the G4 series, she wanted to create the magical world for these characters to take part in. And it makes a lot of sense, especially since Lauren Faust had grown up watching the G1 series and enjoyed many of the aspects of that fantasy world. But much like when you have the G1 series, which is focused on magic and adventure and faraway lands, and then move them to the G2 series, where ponies are taking part in a modern world trying to solve modern problems using modern devices, it loses some of its charm. Because again, these characters weren't created with the modern world setting in mind. They were created with a fantasy setting in mind. And I feel that's part of the reason why Pony Life hasn't been as appealing as the G4 series has been. Now, that's not to say that's the only reason that Pony Life hasn't been quite as appealing. Especially with these latest episodes, I feel there's a bit too much emphasis on making random references in the hopes of getting the audience to chuckle. And yeah, it is sometimes effective. Having Twilight in a very quick Matrix parody, that's a really out there idea. Has anyone ever written a fan fiction based on that premise? I'm sure someone has, but it's just a wild idea to combine those two different settings. Even putting together a direct reference to the Friends opening, again, it's a little weird. It's kind of enjoyable, but it loses its savor pretty quickly. I much more enjoy ideas where, say, Applejack drinks a potion to get inside Pinkie Pie's head. That has an immense amount of potential, but I don't suppose the writers really had much idea on what to do with it other than sometimes nothing is everything. Whatever that means. And even having Fluttershy trying to replicate each of the main six personalities in turn, that seems like a recycled idea from the G4 series, because we saw a lot of that same idea in Newbie Dash. So yeah, I do think the Pony Life series is much more about, hey, let's try to go, keep the audience's attention with as many ideas as we can float as possible, but don't seem to spend a lot of time developing those ideas. Or at the very least, don't believe that many of these ideas can really merit a longer form narrative. And again, I think that part of that has to do with the fact that these characters really weren't designed with a modern setting in mind. They fit much more naturally in the fantasy setting. And while the characters themselves are certainly still fun, their interactions entertaining, and even the random references can make me chuckle from time to time. But the more I watch these Pony Life episodes, and the more they're focusing on these very quick form ideas in these modern settings with modern devices and trying to solve modern conflicts, I must admit I am slowly losing interest over time. And I really wish the staff behind Pony Life could really come up with a way to take advantage of the setting that they feel is really worthwhile for these characters. But I don't know. It is possible that this is something that I just don't personally take interest in. A little while ago, a fan pointed out to me that maybe it's the fact that I've just never taken the step of owning a cell phone and wanting to distance myself to a lot of the modern apps and modern devices, that maybe that's feeding into why I don't find as much interest in the Pony Life series. And yeah, the more I thought about it, the more it seems like a fair point. But then, what do each of you think? Given how much we've been enjoying these characters over the years in that fantasy setting, and suddenly putting them in the modern world, much like the shift from the G4 series to Equestria Girls, or even the G1 series to the G2 series. Do you believe that this is a concept that can appeal to you long term? Let me know, because as always, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.